Welcome to the Stanley Street Social Podcast presented by the TIC. The road belongs to us all. I'm joined today with Campbell Flakemore down south in Hobart and Max Gawn, Premiership captain, to review all the teams, run through the squads. And as we were just talking about before, maybe an apology for our preview show on Lombardy that really didn't go to plan. I'm not sure. We don't need to name names on who said this, but I've got a tweet here from Nick saying he's just listening to the pod and it says, "Why is the Pog still racing?" was the question that we posed.
And I don't think we mentioned Masnada, even a quote of his name at any point as well.
No.
I mean, and he would have been lucky to get a mention with Alaphilippe and Remco on the same team sheet. So everything's great in hindsight, though, isn't it? We're all heroes looking back.
Yeah.
Been out on the bike, Max, clocking some minutes.
Went out for a ride this morning, Peninsula, went up Arthur's. Wasn't my best time up Arthur's, I must admit. I felt heavy on the bike today, but in the end, then going downhill, I clocked up. I was a high 70 clicks at one point, so I was feeling good going down. So I must have been pretty heavy. What's the news coming out of Tassie? Someone sneak out of quarantine. That's not one of you boys, is it?
Not me. I did hear that. I'm not sure what the protocol is down here.
It wasn't me either.
It wasn't you two. That's good.
It wasn't me either.
It's crazy down here.
Still looks to be somewhat safe. Doesn't look to be out of hand. So still just living the freest life down south. Does the performance coach or your fitness manager know about your cycling at the moment, Max?
Trying to keep it on the lowdown. We're only running twice a week at the moment to start back up, so riding sort of complements that.
Yeah, I'm sure they love hearing that you're doing PB speeds on the downhill too.
And horrible speeds uphill because I feel fat. I won't be reporting this one back.
Should we just get straight into the team sheets? Is there anything?
This, just to confirm, Alex, this is just a season review of all the World Tour teams.
World Tour teams and Alberson.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I think, unless you want to add anyone else in, Cambo, anyone else you feel deserves their spot.
Can probably World Tour teams.
Yes, that's probably the better question is do we need to cover some of these World Tour teams?
I mean, Cofidis and Intermarché are lucky to qualify. Although Intermarché did have a few good victories. They had some good victories, but I mean, Cofidis still being a World Tour team, they're probably not getting the results to qualify for that bracket, but here we are. Yeah.
We'll start off. We'll go through them alphabetically. Alberson Phoenix off the top. The only non-World Tour team that we're going to talk about today, and 14 World Tour wins. Mathieu van der Poel at the head of the team, but I think the big piece for me is that they've stepped up in terms of their support of him, but also bring some other riders to the table. Merlier, Philipsen, and they're exciting to watch, led by the man himself.
Yeah, for a couple of years there, it was the Van der Poel show, but you're right. Tim Merlier winning stages at the Giro, winning stages at the Tour de France, Philipsen getting really close to the Tour, jagging a few at the Vuelta, and then you're right. Just in the classics, just not all Mathieu. He's got some good support there, and just as an outsider looking in, the team looks super organised. They have a clear pathway. It looks polished. And, besides the top World Tour teams, they're probably in the top 5 teams of destinations where you'd want to be going at the moment, I think, as a young rider.
The thing that really excites me is they send Philipsen, Merlier and Van der Poel to very similar races, and they seem to have the same calendar, which I like. I mean, I'm not sure if they like because they're competing against each other for team leader, but it makes it an exciting Alberson Phoenix.
It speaks to how well it must be in-house too. To send your 3 hottest riders to the same events, there must be a pretty strong culture in there for them to be able to get along and make it work. Because it's been shown by multiple other teams that a lot of the time when you send multiple winners to a race, it does not work. So there's good things happening in Alberton. They're also, I wonder if the ECI are saying, "Oh, we're going to make this team like have to apply for a World Tour license, so they're just going to use the Vanderpool card to kind of get to every race that they want to, and not have to deal with all the other nonsense that comes with being a World Tour squad."
I think it makes sense, doesn't it? To just stay at this Pro Conti level, get whatever invites you want, and you're right, not have to deal with the nonsense and the fees of becoming a World Tour team and pick and choose. So it probably helps them run on a shorter budget, but still be able to operate at such a high level, which, I think some other teams can probably learn from the organisation of Alpecin. I mean, 14 World Tour wins and 32 wins overall for the season. It's much better than most of the World Tour teams.
Yep.
Ranking, we just to confirm, we're going out of 7.
I think out of 7.
You
go.
Yeah, I just wanted to just check. Do you guys give yourself rankings after the grand final, or does everyone just get a 7 for being there?
Good question. I haven't done mine. I wouldn't have been a 7. I wouldn't have been a 6. I would have been lucky to be a 5. But I think we all get 7s.
Yeah. For Alberton, what are you thinking, Max?
I'd give him a 5. This is hard to read because Vanderpool hasn't won any of the big races. And funny enough, Vanderpool and Van Aert both not in any of the massive wins throughout the whole year. So I'm going to go 5.
Yeah. I think the thing that I noted too when considering their ranking was, although Van der Poel had 2 Tour de France stages, he also had that time in yellow, which was created by a piece of genius from himself to put himself into that jersey. I'm going to give him a 6.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 6 too. Just the amount of World Tour wins probably compared to expectations at the start, and the wins are quite spread out as well. So I think it's enough for a 6. But as we know, Alex, we tend to go a little bit overs. I think Maxi has the system a little bit more down pat, but I'm going to go for a 6.
We're still learning. A win at every Grand Tour is a nice big tick.
Yeah.
Right?
I think, and to be fair, a lot of teams have done that, but we rate in Alpecin Phoenix just a little bit higher because of their non-pro team.
I think it's important to consider that ranking. Yeah.
Bahrain Victorious. Starting hot. We're starting with some big teams here. Like a big year from that squad.
And some big riders stepping up. Proudhon, Colbrelli, Jack Haig. This includes 16 World Tour wins and a podium at the Giro with Caruso, and then Jack Haig 3rd at the Vuelta. And then, of course, Sonny Colbrelli winning Paris-Roubaix just last week. I was a little bit concerned about this group a couple of years ago. It was Mikel Landa. It was a lot of money, but not a whole lot of results. But this year, it's really, really came together. And especially in the second half of the year, it's just kind of snowballed, and momentum has just chalked up so many victories for this group.
Had an amazing time in France. Obviously, the tour with Mohoric and Marc Padun in the Criterium. That amazing sort of couple of months there, and then obviously the visit to the hotel from the drug testers came purely based off what they were doing in France. But then he kept going. Colbrelli kept going and finished off the year really well, including being the Euro champion and Paris-Roubaix. These guys are almost going to be my highest rated team until UAE. So I just love what they've done.
I think it's also important to mention the victory of your man Tratnik in the Slovenian ITT championships. Max, it all adds up.
He needed to win a TT at some point for the rest of his career just to make me feel better about that tip.
The dependence on the lack of dependence on Lander is really nice too, just to see that they've kind of moved away from, it feels like he brings nonsense to a team. Just throws it into a little bit of anarchy around who's doing what. And he's only signed to 2021. I don't imagine that contract is being renewed unless you guys have seen anything, but his performance.
Well, if it is, he's getting a big pay cut.
Yeah.
Only one of those victories of the 30 overall was from Lander, I believe. And you're right, there's a lot of nonsense, and sometimes it's good, any press is good press, but with Lander, it's just a bit of a circus. And I think he's had enough chances now that if I was manager of Bahrain, I'd be, cutting his contract severely or just not offering him one altogether.
Well, three top tens in all the Grand Tours. Obviously, the Tour was 10th with Bilbao, but Caruso second at the Giro and Hagi fourth at the Volta shows that they don't need Lander.
Exactly, and 3 Tour de France stage wins as well with that top 10. So
put all your eggs in the Hagi basket.
Yep. Just also remember, Caruso coming second at the Giro feels like it was 14 years ago. That was huge. That was huge.
It was, yeah.
He won the major climb in the last stage 20 as well. He won the stage.
Yeah.
He did.
He went after it.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And that's kind of where the momentum started, because then from there it was just into the Dauphiné, and then it just snowballed to the back end of the season. So maybe it all started from that momentum from Caruso. But I'm probably, if these guys aren't a 7, they're stiff.
I agree. That's where I remember saying on the podcast that selfless nature of Bilbao and Caruso on that stage was unbelievable, and would love to show that to the boys. And from there, it looked like it grew Bahrain. So I agree. The momentum started at the Giro.
And then just a little Roubaix title just to finish the year off, close it off. It's do you pull it back from a 7 because there's not, did they need to win a Grand Tour? Is that
maybe
the missing part?
It could be, Alex. That could be the reason why they're not going to get a 7. It's a definite 6 for me. You're probably right. It's missing that Grand Tour victory. So I'm going to go for a 6.
I agree. Out of the 8 big races, chucking the Olympics, the 9 big races, they haven't won. Colbrelli won 1.
Yeah.
It's probably a 6.
I think it's a stiff 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not far from a 7, which is big from this team. Bora, it's been the Sagan show for few years now. He's on the out. A mixed bag of results, but not hideous.
No, I mean, 8 World Tour wins for the season. It's not. You're right. It's not hideous. I don't remember any that stand out in a massive way. The Niels Povit one at the Tour de France was really nice.
Again, throwback. Sagan's win at the Giro, or am I thinking the year before? I think I'm thinking the year before.
Win at the Giro wasn't as impressive this time around.
No, it was just a traditional small bunch kick win.
Yep.
Yeah. Take that comment out.
That's okay.
Go on, Campbell.
What was I saying? The win at the Tour de France. Sharkman won the GC at Paris-Nice. But there was nothing really that got you super excited about this team. And with Sagan leaving, I don't know what the direction of this team is. And I know Sagan's not the rider that he was a couple of years ago, but he still generated that hype whenever he went to a race. So I don't know whether Sharkman has that same jazz about him. But eight World Tour wins. It's not horrific.
So have we got Jai Hindley coming over? Is that right?
I believe that's correct. Yeah, I don't think Jai managed to chalk up a victory in 2021 after his podium at the Giro. So hopefully it was just a bit of a hangover from that, and he can get a fresh start with Bora. But
it leaves a little bit interesting. I think Kelderman the one that's leaving. So Bookman and Kelderman were ultra disappointing in terms of GC for them this year. I know Bookman crashed out at the Giro when he was looking hot. Kelderman, I don't think he's going to make it as a GC rider. Shackman, I'm not sure what he is, but obviously ran Paris-Nice early.
Yeah, he's a super 1 week racer, Shackman.
Yeah. There wasn't much to get excited about.
No. 3, probably for me.
3's good.
Yeah, 3's on the money.
Yeah.
Not far from a pass, but
Probably didn't do enough.
probably not quite. Bigger end of the scale in terms of team size as well. Campbell, I don't know if you got any budget numbers. I recall last year you were quite big on the budget.
The mail from Het News Blood hasn't come across my desk this season, so I don't have the figures on budgets. So sorry about that.
I'll let you run free on this next one, Campbell. You had some comments off the bat. Cofidis, one World Tour win. It was a Giro win, so it was early doors, but it didn't really open up the floodgates for much else in the back end of the year.
No, it was just the one stage at the Giro. 12 victories overall. I don't know the last time they won a stage of the Tour de France. I believe it was Sylvain Chavanel in 2009. I think in like a 2-up sprint. But the rest of their victories, not super exciting. I mean, these guys have still got Elia Viviani on their list, who did win 5 or 6 races this year. But with all due respect, none of any great significance. And I'm sure they're paying him an absolute mozza. We're talking probably €2 million, would you say, Alex? You kind of got your foot on the pulse.
I think it'd be 1.5 plus. And for what they went all in on him after he had an absolute rip-roaring couple of years at Deceuninck Quick-Step, but he has cemented how important that culture of that team and Morkov is to winning races.
And not only that, Christophe Laporte, who won 4 of their races, is moving on as well. So could be some dark and difficult times ahead for Cofidis.
Their big 3 just didn't deliver. Laporte, Martin, Vivian. Although Guimard finished top 10 in 2 Grand Tours.
Was he at every race this year? Did
he missed the Giro?
He missed the Giro.
Apart from that, was in every race, which is they're not an Italian team, are they? They're a French team. That makes sense then. But he got in both those top 10s by jumping in a break nice and early in the campaign. I've got nothing for them. I don't even know who Victor Lafay is, and I can't remember him winning.
I don't remember this stage win at all, but it's there. It's in the history books.
Say they've got a €1.5 million freed up because Viviani is not going back.
Yeah.
Where do you put that money?
Well, they love French riders, although Viviani's not French. The other 2 are. They got to go after one of these like Champoussin or Paris Pants or one of these young French riders that might be seen as the next Bardet.
Maybe a sprinter. I'm not too sure if there's any young sprinters that you want to gamble on. Maybe like a Philipsen.
Like a Jordi Moose.
Yeah, if Philipsen's not going to get the opportunities at Alpecin, if Merlier is going to be their main sprinter, but if he's happy to take scraps, then I think I'd want to be staying at Alpecin. But yeah, if you get Viviani off the books, that does free up a lot of money to go and target a few people. But I think at World Tour status, 1 victory, it's not good enough.
Does their 1 victory get them a point?
Yeah,
it's probably a 1. Again, Max, relative. You've said that zeros they're a thing, aren't they, in the score sheet?
Yeah, Guy Martin's finished top 10 twice, so there can't be a 0.
Yeah. Oh, no, definitely not. Definitely not a 0.
1?
1. Give him a 1.
Give him 1. Kind of quick step. Just the kings of winning races.
Have you got data on how many riders won races? I know they won 65 races overall, and they won 25 of those in World Tour races.
It looks like about 9 in the World Tour. Maybe 10.
Yeah, if you go back to the World Tour.
And 2 of them were Sam Bennett. 5 of them were Sam Bennett before he fell out of favour in March. So he started hot.
Is there any latest on that? What's happening with Bennett?
Wasn't it seen as a slap in the face because he chose to go do Euros or something?
I'm sure, Patrick had some sort of smart comment about it that I've forgotten about, thankfully.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't care, does he, Patrick?
We didn't touch on this before, but Bora's got Sam Bennett going back there next year.
Okay. That's, yeah.
So that's their ticket.
Mm-hmm.
But, and also this is going to be a very good proof of concept of if Sam Bennett can succeed outside of the De Koning Quickstep environment.
Yeah.
Because if he can't win outside of De Koning Quickstep, then no one can. I think that's enough evidence. No one can ever win outside of De Koning. After that's where they find their fame. But yeah, I think maybe the only kind of downside to De Koning's year is Patrick kind of losing his marbles in the media throughout the back end.
Yeah. But would it be Quickstep without Patrick Lefevre?
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens if he leaves. And
yeah, I know he's a madman and he doesn't say the right things. And listen, from what I've seen, I don't think he's a great person, but he seems to be managing this team really well. And the last 4 or 5 years, the amount of victories they've had with the budget that they say they have, it's nowhere near the big teams. And to be getting 65 victories with what looks like at least 10 different riders, no team is coming close to this. So, but yeah, the Sam Bennett going to Bora, Alex, that's the last piece of the research, I think, to confirm whether there's something going on at Quickstep, because people go there and they win and they leave and they fall off a cliff. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there.
I'd love to see a tour with Remco, Yao Almeida and Alaphilippe next year. I reckon they could all balance each other really well, with Almeida being the overall GC man.
I think Almeida's on the move to UAE.
Is he?
I believe, yeah.
I just don't think the Giro's their downlight of their whole year, and it's where Remco and Almeida couldn't work out who was GC, and then Remco tanked. And then they didn't get a stage win, and they also didn't have someone in the top 10. So the Giro is their letdown, and it was almost their best team.
Yeah.
But apart from that, Alaphilippe was super again, lit up races. Cav, the return of Cav, the return of Jakobsen late, and then Almeida's form definitely in the last month as well. They got some good riders.
And just on Cavendish, he was winning races just in the last couple of weeks. So it wasn't just like he got up for the Tour de France and fell away. He kept his form going all year and is obviously super motivated to go around again. I don't know whether he's been confirmed as being signed for next year, but it looks like he's going to get another deal, which is good, and hopefully he can go for that record.
Only the one out of the big 9 races, they only won one, which was I think Casper Asgreen might have won Flanders,
yeah, in that 2-up sprint with Mathieu.
Yeah, so only 1 out of 9 for the big team as well.
Yeah.
Score?
6.
See, I'm putting budget and bringing them down to 5. I don't think that's as good as what they were last year.
Yeah, okay. I'm just finding
5 race wins, Max, and you give them a 5.
Finding it hard to look past those raw numbers of wins.
65 wins.
Okay,
Some teams have got under 5.
They did win the green jersey at both the Volta and the Tour, so that's bringing me back.
You've got to go with what do you think here? Don't let us sway you.
I don't think they're in UAE and Bahrain's category, and Bahrain were a 6, so I think they're a 5.
Okay.
I find it hard to measure that Bahrain jumbo GC focus versus De Koning just being everywhere.
But they've only won one of the monuments for someone.
And I think Roubaix not being super present, I think pulls them back a little bit. Big race for them. But I'm still giving them a 6.
I'll go 5.
Yeah, I think I want a 6, just on pure numbers.
This raw data. EF?
Well, they were the 6th last year. They were the team that really rose from nowhere last year. I don't think they're going to get a similar result this year.
Yeah, it's not last year. Last year was
the year before, is it?
Was he? Anyway,
yeah, go on.
this year, 11 wins, 11 World Tour wins. I think Magnus like shined at the Vuelta.
Yeah.
Like he's made that race his own. And yeah, no
all
Tour
that's missing is probably a stage at the Tour.
Yeah.
Magnus Cord obviously giving him some big wins at the back end of the season with those 3 at the Vuelta. And Nielsen Powless winning San Sebastian. That's a big race. It's a big one-day win.
Hmm.
No,
just missing that Tour de France stage doesn't help their overall score.
no Magnus. This is a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can say that with a lot of teams if you take out their best rider.
Yeah.
Not much in terms of GC. I know they got Hugh Carthy and Rigoberto that both sort of failed multiple times.
Yes.
Carthy did come a 5th at the Giro, but the Giro had massive gaps after 1st and 2nd.
I had him on my podium for the Vuelta, and I don't know if he got past about the 2nd hill climbing day. The other thing to just note, it's probably doesn't contribute to their ranking this year. He did a couple of little bits and pieces, but Valgren's back on the up after being missing in action. So I think we could be here this time next year talking about Valgren clocking some good wins next year for them.
I agree with that.
What was the race that Valgren won a couple of years ago? And everyone got really excited and then kind of really fell away and was almost lucky to get this latest contract. Was Amstel Gold that he torched. But he's still got 2 more years on this EF contract. So he obviously got some good motivation at the back end of the year. Those 2 one-dayers in Italy and then the 3rd at Worlds. So when he's on, he's a very, very dangerous rider. But the last couple of years, there just hasn't been many times where he's got it all together. So
yeah,
if he can get back to his best, there's a lot of wins to come from him next year. And
they would have got him at a good rate versus Quebecer that would have paid him overs for like when a small budget team goes all in on something like that and it delivers you nothing, like that hurts.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's probably meant the end of the team. I'm going to give this some 4
cap space as well. Campbell, I know you love your budget, so freed up some cap space with TJ retiring.
Yeah, he's. I believe he's gone straight into a managerial role.
Oh, so he's sticking there. Jeez, that's not good.
Yeah, I believe he's going into a DS role at the team. So still on the books, but yeah, I'm sure he'll definitely be getting paid less as a DS. So there will be a little bit of money opening up there.
Is it a pass? Isn't it a pass?
That's it's really close. It's a close between a 3 and a 4.
Magnus made it a 4.
I think I'm not sure if there's many World Tour races in America, but not being able to go to America and ride in America probably hurt them as well. They probably target a few of those races like California and whatnot and Utah. So the Volta where Magnus Court normally dominates, that's probably the last target of the year and they get it done. So it probably is a pass.
Yeah. With that 3 of the Vuelta, I think that gets them over the line as a 4.
Yep. Groupama FDJ.
They're a 1, Alex. And next. In fact, they were a 0 and saved by Stefan Kung winning the Euro TT, I reckon.
Why? What happened to Arno? Like, where did he go?
Well, he won just this week just gone. He won Paris Tours.
Does that mean much?
It doesn't mean much at all, but we've actually been really hard on him this year, I think, because he just went full flat track bully mode at the Giro at the end of 2020. We kind of thought that he was going to come and beat Caleb Ewan and beat Sam Bennett and beat all these big sprinters, and it just hasn't really worked out that way. He still had a number of victories. Must have had about 10 wins still this year, but all the races in France that, let's be real, of a team of this level have no real relevance to anything, except for the Paris Tours win, which is it's a decent one-day race, but the rest he should be winning at and didn't really get going in the big races this year.
So let's go through these household names. David Gadoo, I mean, I know he's one of my boys, but he lit it up at times, but doesn't look like he's got the legs to do much in GC. Stefan Kung had a poor TT year until he won the Euros. Demar couldn't sprint. Thibaut Pinot, do you know where he is, Campbell?
I don't. I did see him going out the back at Lombardia. He was on my smoky list potentially. Didn't deliver as per.
They wore the leaders jersey with Volta in the Giro for about a week. They're a 1.
Yeah, they're a 1. I was on Arnaud Demar. It was like, all right, he had his lead out train dialed. He was crushing stages of the Giro. Like he was going to be their guy for this year. And they've taken it. Yeah, and also Thibaut's finally on the out. They've finally given up on Campbell's dream that one day Thibaut Pinot would win the Tour de France. And he's had the opportunity. And I know they had some illness or something, but it wasn't a great year. It's 1.
So has he publicly said that he's given up his hopes of the Tour?
I don't know if he's publicly said it.
I think Alex is just spreading rumors about that.
But in his team, he didn't go. Did he go? He didn't go to the Tour this year.
No, he didn't go to the Tour. It was all in for Arnaud and Gadoo.
And also, he's gone missing. Like where is he?
He was finishing in main groups in these last few one-day sort of stages over the last sort of month. He was finishing in the group, so he must be got legs again.
Yeah. Listen, when it comes together for Thibaut, he's a good rider, but just his head seems to fall off at the wrong time. But I have confidence with this team. It's probably, a 1 this season. But next year, Gadoo, Demar, Kung, dare I say it, Pinot can all come back and have good seasons in 2022. But I think it's a little bit disappointing, just the 2 World Tour wins. So, yeah, it's a 1.
Ineos. Big Giro to start their GC campaign off.
Super Giro, obviously with Bernal and Martinez, both performing like unbelievably. Martinez was almost best on there, and Garner was good as well. Okay tour. Or is it was a fail?
A fail. No. Like when the tour went pear shaped last year, they bagged stage wins. They kind of refound themselves, but this year
third. They had a third of the tour. I understand for them it's probably a fail, but I think a podium at the Tour de France is still a really good result, regardless of your status.
But was he ever going to win?
No, he was never really going for the win. I do agree with that. And there was also no stage win to go with it at the tour.
No. It was almost worse for them that they had that person in the third. Like if Carapaz was 10th, then it would have been easy to redirect the ship, but they were going all in for GC.
So I say there's one, like I said, the 9 main races, they've won 2 of them, with Carapaz winning gold and Bernal winning the Giro. And then adding all these 1 week wins like Tour de Suisse, Carapaz, Criterium, Richie Port, Tour de Romandie, Geraint Thomas. So they've had a lot of wins. Garner's like smashed the World TT at the end. Disappointing tour, which they always put their book, like that's their bookend. They want to go really well on the tour. But apart from that, they've done pretty well.
Yeah. And they've also found a good youngster in Ethan Hayter, who was winning a lot of races at Norway and Britain at the end of the year, which is good to have someone else winning. I think it's between a 4 and a 5 for me.
There's some disappointments within. Like Pidcock, I thought he was going to be anything this year. Adam Yates, I don't know where he's at. Gegenhardt, I don't know. He's a Giro winner, and he looked nothing like it this year.
Yeah.
And Cambo, if we had your budget mail on our desk in front of us,
I think we'd be pretty confident this is in the top 2.
Yeah, like there'd be a lot of money spent on this squad.
Yeah. So results v expectations probably did fall short.
I think it's a 3.
Whoosh.
Great.
A gold medal and a Giro, and it's a 3.
I know, but the cycling is the Tour de France. This team is the Tour de France.
It's good to see you come out and go hard on a team, Alex.
I just think the amount of money that they had.
Lack of Australian presence at the Ineos, and you've just gone whack.
Yeah.
Rowan Dennis is leaving, and Alex goes whack.
He's going to give Bike Exchange a 5 for their season.
For their one World Tour win.
Nah, Alex. For me, it's a 4. 16 World Tour wins, 32 overall, winning the Giro, 3rd at the Tour de France, and like Max said, all those 1 week races.
No, Tour de France, Campbell.
It's a very strong 4 for me. I know there was no Tour de France, but it's a 4. It's a pass.
See, I'm struggling with this compared to Quickstep. I get Quickstep had about 12 sprint wins, but you got to like they are Pro Tour wins, their stage wins, they're great. Cav, Jakobsen, and Bennett, but you take them out. But you can't take them out. Sorry, you can't take them out. That's 12 stages in the bank.
Should we take out Bernal's Giro?
Yeah, but no one else, no Quickstep riders finished top 3 in a Grand Tour.
Yeah.
We need to come up with the Stanley Street Social weighting on wins system.
Yeah. And we need some hard mail on budgets.
Yeah. I'm going to 5.
Wow, I think that's almost the biggest spread we've had. We've had a 3, a 4, and a 5.
The thing that confuses me about this squad too is like, how are they going to win the Tour de France again?
Well,
it's Bernal. He's the one, but I mean, at the moment, it's looking very difficult to beat Pog, isn't it? Extremely difficult.
They've got one of the best cycling academies in the world. I'm sure they'll get a new guy coming in pretty soon, and Ethan Hayter could be that man.
Intermarché Wanty. They've got World Tour wins.
They do.
They've got
3. They wore the red jersey at the Vuelta for a long period too.
They were extremely present.
The stage of Taco Van Horn at the Giro was really nice. I gave them a win early, then the pressure was off. Not that they went on to do anything else, but still getting a stage win at the Giro is a massive win. Rain Taramaya stage at the Vuelta. Then, like you said, there was the Norwegian guy, Eiking, wearing the red jersey for a week. And then some bits and pieces with 9 wins overall. So for them, I think that's a pretty good season.
I think we can't forget Louis Menkes finishing top 20 in a Grand Tour twice.
Rock solid top 20.
He is so good for a top 20. I wish he could bet on that, but he'd be a sure thing. I love Italian sprinters, and Pasquale didn't do anything for me this year.
No.
They were present. I love how they held the jersey and threw numbers at it, and they held the jersey at the Giro as well, of Taramay for a bit, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they did.
Okay.
I'll stand by that.
We'll hold you to that.
So but we're not taking budget into it. They're a 3.
I agree. I think it's a 3. I don't think they can be a pass, but it's a very good season. I think so. It's a 3.
Hang on, are we not considering budget?
Well, we are, but we are.
We are. But they're World Tour. They're World Tour team.
Squad.
They don't have any big names on the list, but the names that they do have, they've got some okay results with.
It'd be interesting to see their money versus Alberson.
Would be.
You imagine Alberson have more?
Alberson would have more, you'd think.
I think those two, the 2 stages they won and the time in the jersey gets them a 4. Gets him over the line for me.
Okay.
Max, Israel Startup Nation.
What's the budget?
Let's go.
Where's the budget?
We're talking. This is where we need budget.
Are they top 4 for budget?
I'm not going to say hard and fast yes or no on that, but they'd be in the top half. Let's put it that way. In terms of budget.
Okay, let's just talk about what they did in terms of World Tour wins. They got one at Torino that I don't even remember, and then Michael Woods and Dan Martin. Dan Martin, the only one of the Grand Tour race. Oh, that's grim looking. Woods looked good in a lot of races, but wasn't able to get it done. Dan Martin was, I'm sure, hopefully they're not paying him a lot.
They are.
Oh,
I think he's retiring at the end of this season.
Yeah, he's done.
Dan Martin. I don't think we'll see Dan Martin in a professional race again.
they've got the oldest list. Like, they're the Geelong. Like, they just have 30-year-olds left, right, and centre. But Geelong 30-year-olds are performing. That's the slight difference.
Yeah. And Geelong aren't bringing in 35-year-olds on millions of euros a year.
No. The promising thing, Froome actually looked like he was in a race at the end of the year, which was good.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to see a boring Israel next year, and it looks like their eggs are in the Froome basket again. So hopefully Froome finds something next season, but they're a 0. You have any Australians we've got to apologise to?
Okay, 3 World Tour wins. It was Wurst Smith at Torino, Romandy with Woods, and then a stage at the Giro.
Yeah, so one of the Grand Tours, they managed to get a stage, which is slowly almost getting me to a 1.
And to be fair, the results really fell away after that. A lot of national championships, a lot of 1.1s, 2.1s. Ben Herman's torched Norway.
Woods almost saved it at the end of the year. He was in some good groups.
Woods is a really good rider, by the way. I think he's a top 10 sort of rider.
And if
whether
you're
it's
watching,
one-day races or whether it's tours, he's always there or thereabouts. Someone that can win bike races.
And if you're watching the race, he makes you feel. It feels like Israel is present in the race.
Yeah,
if you take him out.
And this is just another little thing that's just adding to it. They were very active at Roubaix, and Boivin was looking super. Yes, he crashed, but they were in the thick of Roubaix, which is very recent. It's top of our mind. I can't give them a 0. I'm going to give them a 1.
Extremely active in the Tour as well. Woods looked like the polka dots was a chance for a while there.
Yeah, it's a 1 from me.
Active for a top 5 budget team.
Okay, when it's verse budget, I can see your 0, but I'm going to have to give them a 1.
I'm not looking post footy to do any sort of work of Israel Startup Nation. I'm happy to safely give them a 0 and not feel like that might get some backlash at some point.
Lotte Sedal, 8 wins for the year.
How many of those went to Caleb?
1, 2, 3, 4 to Caleb.
Yep.
And Caleb pretty much didn't ride the Tour de France.
No, he didn't.
Which was a huge out for them with them throwing the entire team at Caleb Ewan. Crashed out on the first stage. Campbell pinned him for 5 wins.
And I think that probably would have come through. We saw how dominant Mark Cavendish was in the sprints.
He probably would have won 7.
Yeah, but he didn't. So they have 8 World Tour wins and 12 overall.
And we always like to go early with our teams, and we had him down for about 7 wins at the Volta, and then he didn't even go.
Yep. But I think this year showed that without Caleb, they don't offer a great deal. On top of those victories, they were second at San Remo with Caleb, and then also they were second at Roubaix with Vermeersch. So they were present in some of those big races, but seconds don't really count, do they? So we're judging them on wins.
you look at their big names, like their star riders of Wellens, Gilbert, Dejan, like there are other guys there.
Yeah, they're in their 30s.
They're all over the
Wellens
edge.
is 30, Degenkolb's 32, Gilbert's 76. And Thomas against another one who they bank at least 2 or 3 wins a year. Probably had one of the worst years he's had to date. I love following him on Twitter, and he just keeps saying that he's just nowhere near what everyone else is doing at the moment. So I'm not sure if Lotto follow him on Twitter, but if they do, they realise that he's probably lost it. They got a bit of faith in this young fella Cron. Vermeersch is where they put their eggs now with Caleb.
Yeah. Harry, from Australian perspective, Harry Sweeney, a nice little find as well. But he's not bagging them wins yet.
They need something. They need something. Like their classics team can be based around Vermeersch now. It was based around a few others, but their classics team can be based around him, with Caleb doing the sprints, and then they just need someone who can climb. I just feel like they need a mix, and it's not Wellens. It's not Van Hook.
Yeah, I agree. Without Caleb and without Wellens, it's like in the higher mountains, you kind of do want someone to be able to compete and get in the thick of it, and they just don't. They don't really have it at all.
Go get yourself a climber.
Yeah, someone that can just compete and be in there.
Be present.
Yeah, create a contest.
What is it?
Go get a Louis Menkes.
Yeah, go get yourself a top 20. Just something for them next year, which might add some strength and firepower and a different little angle to their classics team is young Australian Jared Drisner's is heading to Lotto Soudal for the start of next year. So just another Australian angle for us to keep an eye on, which would be nice.
I'll go first of the two, Alex.
Yeah. I think that's around the 2, 3, 2.
Really?
3.
It's a 2. It's not a 3. It's not a 3.
Where did they earn their 3?
It was a 1 or a 2. It's a 2.
Well, Alex, I mean, I can see where you're getting your 3 from because of Caleb and Harry.
There's an angle there for Alex. Don't forget about
that. Movie star.
When is season 3 coming? Do you know?
There has to be a pretty good few episodes out of the back end of this team's year.
I don't think we've talked about it on the pod, but Miguel Angel Lopez has raced his last race for that squad off the back of his saga.
Unannounced.
I don't think we needed to mention it. I think everyone just knew that was Lopez's last ride for Movistar.
Crazy situation.
Does this team need a full clean out?
A little bit.
How's Valverde still finishing top 10 in the overall rankings for the year as well? He must just get a lot of points for top 5s.
Yeah. He was looking as good as ever at Lombardia, by the way.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? So they
what have you got for us, Alex?
They put a lot in Grand Tours, and they've got Mas, Lopez, Valverde, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for the Volta. The Giro they've missed, and then the Tour they've obviously had Mas in 6. That's
2nd overall of the Vuelta, 3 World Tour wins for the season, including a stage by M.A. Lopez. The next stage, he quit the race.
They do need to clean out. I think they are. Lopez is going. I'm pretty sure Marc Soler is going. Valverde has to be retiring, so that means surely it's all on Enric Mas.
I feel like Valverde is going around again.
Is he?
I think he is.
That's the worst news for Enric Mas.
Well, there's nothing on his contract, but there hasn't been any hoo-ha about him retiring, or maybe he just wants to go out quietly. But the way he was going at Lombardia, he's got another year in him.
I don't mind their American. What's his name? George Jensen, is it?
Jorgensen, Matteo.
But apart from that, they got to put all their eggs in Enric Mas. I'm a big Enric Mas man. I reckon he can be a GC rider, probably not to the extent that Pog and Rog are, but if he avoids them, he can potentially win a Giro.
Yeah, I mean, he was 2nd at the Vuelta. That's a massive result. And you're right, yeah. If he can go to places where they're not going, he can win races for sure.
But on the basis of this year, Alex, there are two.
Yeah, I'm just trying to quantify if Mass's podiums
Yeah, that's
get
the
him
thing,
up to
isn't
a
it?
3.
Well,
It's
both of them.
wow.
Mass and Lopez finished on the podium.
Budget 2.
It's a 2. It's a 2 from me too. That is stiff though. It's second at a Grand Tour with Mass. It's a good achievement.
3 2s. Well done, boys.
Yeah, this is good. I feel like we're really starting to get a bit of a grasp of what this whole ranking system is about.
I feel like we're going to have a miss on the next team anyway, though.
Team bike exchange. Oh dear.
We'll have to be on the same level here, surely.
Alex, do you want to take us away with this one?
I'm just going to take it away. According to my maths, they had 35 wins in 2019, like total wins. And that was off the back of 33, 29, 27. Like they were a winning team.
Yes.
This year they got 2 wins.
World Tour wins.
Two World Tour wins.
And one, there is no way anyone remembers. Esteban Chavez won in Spain in March.
Like, what's going on?
There seems to be some issues there. That's a big drop off in wins. What'd you say, Alex? High 20s?
They were pretty much hitting 30s every year.
I mean, that's a significant drop off.
And when you actually dig into those wins, they were winning big races.
Yeah. So 2 World Tour wins, only 9 victories overall. They did have a 3rd place at the Giro with Simon Yates, which I think that's a significant result. Tell me I'm wrong.
It's a good result.
That is right.
And a stage win there too.
Being in the likes of Hugh Carthy. I mean, it's a massive result.
And then after, I mean, they only had 2. This is the thing. They only had 2 victories after the Giro. There's a lot of races after the Giro. That is quiet.
Yeah. Where did it?
I think they had a weird change in motives to go for jerseys rather than wins. Does anyone else get that feel? Like Matthews was going for green jerseys, not wins. Yates was going for yellow. Hamilton was going to be a GC, go for yellow. Chavez goes for GC every time he rides. None of them go for wins.
Yeah.
And that was the big story of this year. Matthews came in. Did he get any wins at all? He got no World Tour wins.
I don't think he got any victories.
He didn't win at all.
Would have been a lot of top 5s. But you're right. Does that inclusion of Matthews then just take away everyone else's opportunities for victories? And Matthews is that sort of rider where, 4 or 5 years ago, he could win in sort of almost any situation. Maybe with these new guys, with the Vans and Pog and all these guys, a lot of those opportunities are simply just no longer there. But obviously the team thought that they were, but on the results sheet, nothing comes up. So
if they're not all out for Matthews, I dare say Stannard wins a stage, Housen wins a race, Nick Schultz wins a stage. I reckon they've just had a little bit of a nightmare in terms of what they wanted from each race, especially the main 3, because they're a tour team. They're not a big classics team. They're a big tour team. Their motives around there, because the guys they took, we all spoke pre-race bullish about their team every time.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of good names on the team sheets, but there must just be something going on at the team, because 9 victories is not many. It's not many at all. So hopefully it's just a bad year and they can bounce back. But
so talk to me about cycling world. Is there big changes in management? Is there changes in riders? What happens after a bad year like that?
I feel like cycling world doesn't get the same scrutiny that the football world does. There's no coaches with their heads on the chopping block.
There needs to be security in jobs in cycling.
Yeah.
Everyone's mates.
And contracts don't get broken up just willy-nilly.
Rarely,
yeah.
Yeah. But they did have a new GM come in, didn't they, Alex?
Yes, they had a new
By
GM
exchange.
who came from Bahrain 2 seasons ago when Shane Bannon had that wild deal with the Spanish drug
crowd,
cartel via a charity somehow. And yeah, they've got a new manager, but geez, it hasn't been all good. And there's rumors around them signing like Jakobsen. No, not Jakobsen. The Danish climber from
Fuglsang.
Fuglsang. Like, what's going
Yeah.
on?
What's they need?
Here's the definition of Mitchelton Scott Fuglsang. We don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
They also changed equipment this year as well to Bianchi.
And their TTs were rubbish all year.
Yeah.
Doesn't look great in terms of long. I know that you guys might know more about the Mitchelton sponsor here, but I know it's struggling to get long-term security with Mitchelton. And Jerry Ryan, I'm pretty sure his kids hate cycling. They're going to hate it even more after the year that's just had. Like, they're fighting for a sponsor here.
Yeah, and I think like Jerry's been trying to find that sponsor the whole time. Then it almost, I think, I don't know, to Shane's credit, maybe that's where it was coming from. He was just swinging at whatever he could get, no matter what it was. And they've got a new minor sponsor in an area of some Saudi country, which has some horrendous human rights track record, and that's their new sponsor. Like, it's not an exciting team. If you actually go to the team's history, the most wins by any rider is Caleb Ewan, 29 wins.
Maybe East End Wine.
You know where this team goes. They get Caleb back, sprint lead out. They're crushing it. They've got an Australian at the helm who can actually win.
They give up GC.
Or
Sell Simon Yates to who were the team that was saying needed the GC rider, the other Lotto.
Yeah. See that Alex Max is going to sponsor a team with East End Wine Bar.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We'll jump on. I've got pretty clear motives.
Got a good relationship with Caleb Ewan. Bring him back in.
Who would you need? What would be your non-negotiables if you came on as a $10 million sponsor of a cycling team, Max?
You got to grab the Australian public. That's where the money is. No one's buying Mitchelton wine over in Europe. So you got to grab the Australian public. You got to grab Caleb Ewan or Jack Haig. You got to throw your money. I know you've lost them both because of something happened back a couple of years ago with both of them. Just throw some money at the Aussies.
Anyway, what score do they get?
Not Jakob Fuglsang.
Not a 36-year-old Danish bloke.
They're as bad as Israel, but
does the S Yates podium at the Giro
it does
get him a 1?
It gets him a 1.
I think he gets him a 1.
Yeah.
And
If that result's not there, it's a 0.
Lucas Hamilton replying to my DMs on Insta gets him a 1.
Team DSM.
They're coming off almost a 7 last year.
Yeah,
massive.
They had a stinker.
They had a stinker. They couldn't back it up
in a massive way.
Max's idea of taking one rider out. If you rip out Michael Storer, not a whole lot to talk about.
Well, he's on the move to FDJ next season. A little bit of an international theme going on there. Him and Miles Scottson might be able to link up. But yeah, you're right. If you take Storer's wins out, that's half the victories. Roman Bardet contributed nicely, I think, with his team. He added something different. It's also good for him to get a change up from Ag2r. He had a couple of wins. He was pretty active at Lombardia. But overall, it's a poor season. They had some bad press. The management doesn't sound like it's great. A little bit too much of a military sort of regime, which was working when they were winning lots of races. Everyone was happy to talk about it in a positive way. But when things go wrong, it doesn't come across well in the press.
And it's never worked for keeping riders. Anyone that
No.
finds success there goes running.
Turnover rate is incredibly high. And yeah, exactly to your point now, Alex. Michael Storer has probably had his best season. Whoosh, he's out the door.
Yeah.
Didn't I read somewhere that Bardet went to DSM to work on his classics? And then he's come out and run a 6 in a Giro and performs his best at the Volta.
I don't know about that article. If you can pull it
Bardet
up, I'd love to
said
see
his
it.
reason for going to DSM was to work. And to be fair, his first few races with DSM were classics.
Okay. Like I said, he had a pretty good one at Lombardia. At least he was active in the thick of the race.
His Volta was outstanding with Storer. They were both great. And I do remember his Giro. That's where Storer sort of came on the map, riding for Bardet, and he came 6th. So they were both present there.
Yep.
Their tour was outstandingly horrible. I think we gave them a 0.
I think we did.
Yeah, 0.
So some of their big names just didn't fire a shot. In Tej Banu, Seas Bowl.
Yes, you can put Crow Anderson in there
Crow
too.
Anderson.
Also, Jai Hindley, a podium getter at the Giro.
Yeah, so some of their big names just didn't fire a shot, which hasn't helped them.
Yeah.
But they're not a 1, they're a 2, just.
There are 2.
There are 2 based on how present they were in the lesser 2 of the Grand Tours. They want a polka dot jersey.
And the 0 at the Tour de France doesn't help their score.
No, but they had all eggs in the Seas Bowl basket, which was an interesting choice.
Which, if it's not going to work when all the sprinters have crashed out, then I don't think it's going to work.
Correct.
I'm giving him a 1. They're getting a 1.
Do they lose points because Michael Storer is on the move?
Yeah, I think that contributes to the score. Bad
He performed
management.
his best when he signed the papers to go.
A 1 or a 2, Max?
There are 2. I stand by my
Yeah,
2.
2.
I
think there are 2.
I'm heavily biased to Grand Tours. It seems like you guys are a bit more biased to one-day races.
I think there are 2.
Can you both just justify where they get their 2 from?
They lit up the Volta.
Okay.
Michael Storer did.
Oh, but you can't harsh on Bardet. What's your issue with Romain?
Right, he was going all right at the Tour as well. And I know this doesn't add much. This probably doesn't contribute anything to their score, but he was going all right until he crashed out.
3 wins at the Welter is great, but I'm going to stand hard and fast by my 1.
Okay.
Jumbo Visma.
This works well if you do the old take out Roglic.
Yeah, take out 2 riders. What's left? The second at the Tour de France, actually.
Yeah, they did get Vingegaard, who's looked like he could be someone that Jumbo could work with to try and take on Pog as the double. They stage wins at all of them. Oh no, they missed the Giro. What happened to the Giro with them? They went Tobias Voss, George Bennett, double lead, and they failed.
Yes.
I mean, raw numbers, there's a lot of victories here. There's 19 World Tour and 43 overall. Second at the Tour de France, Amstel Gold, win. Roglic winning 90 races at the back end of the season. It felt like torching the Vuelta.
What's your opinion? What race do you think is the stiffest for being not a monument? I think it's Amstel. And Van Aert's won that. So he's won the very next best thing.
Mm.
And he lit up the tour. Like I'm more than happy because I'm a tour man and not a one-day man. I'm more than happy for Van Aert to light up the tour and do nothing in the rest.
Mm.
When I say do nothing, he was the favourite in all of them and was marked really well and just got beat.
Yeah. They won 4 stages of the tour and second overall. There's a lot of points and value coming from just that 3 weeks. The same at the Vuelta, 3 stages and the overall.
I was critical of Ineos before for not changing direction and taking stage wins. This team changed direction.
Yeah,
in a
they
big
pivoted well.
way. A big way.
There's something interesting coming for the Tour.
And I think the biggest thing for this team is they found Vingegaard at the Tour de France. They found him.
It's made it awkward, though. Now, Roglic, Van Aert, and potentially Groenewegen all wanting Tour. And then Tom Dumoulin's sort of back in the picture. It's bloody awkward now.
Cambo, how much money would you have to take as Vingegaard to go to Cofidis right now?
I think you'd be wanting close to €2 million a season to leave this group.
They're going to need to find some extra cash from their 1.5 of the behind.
Yeah, I think he's going to get some opportunities, and at the same time, I think he's still going to be happy to do the job. I think he'd be happy to go back to the Tour and work for Roglic for one more year. Would you agree? I think Roglic has still got a good run at the Tour de France, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening on the TT front there, but some of their TTs, Van Aert, Roglic, Vingegaard, Tom Dumoulin, Tobias Weiss, Ed Affini, these guys can seriously ride TTs.
Yeah. Again, good equipment.
I think it fits these like big budget, top tier sports science, top gear. TTs follow the money. Score?
Oh,
tough, isn't it? They're real close. They're close.
Well, if you rate the Grand Tours, the Volta's the third, in my opinion. So they've won the third one. They didn't have a great
Giro.
Didn't get anything done at the Giro. Salvaged the Tour.
Well, almost best on for the Tour with his stage wins with Van Aert's performance and then Vingegaard. And then Van Aert did not, unfortunately, win any of the monuments apart from Amstel, which is just outside of monument status.
He also won Ghent-Wevelgem.
It's a 5.
It's a 6 for me. It's a 6 for me.
Tour de France, GC, like that's their thing. But
pretty close. They got second.
They've missed their two things. They've missed the monument and they've missed the Tour.
Second with an emergency coming in.
and 4 stage wins on top of it. Yeah, no, I think they get a 6. I think they get a 6.
Okay.
Because and then also throw on top of that just the amount of raw wins that they got.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how we judge Quickstep raw wins. This is a lot. I think it's the second most amount of raw wins.
Yeah.
43.
Speaking of raw wins, Quebecer Assos.
We're talking 3, all at the Giro.
We're talking 3, and I think they must have got 6, nearly a 7 after their Giro to not be featured in any kind of review or unpack for the rest of the year.
They must have. See, I pulled up stumps 5 days after the flag. They must have gone for a month post Giro. I don't even remember seeing their jersey post Giro. Maybe Max Walshed was present and Simon Clark was present, like we saw in Paris-Roubaix. I can't even remember anyone being present.
Quiet, wasn't it? It's a quiet back end.
After such a good Giro.
They were all in on the Giro. They got what they wanted.
Who went to the Tour for these people?
And every other race.
Pozzovivo did something, surely.
I think it was a couple of seasons ago, Pozzovivo. I think I might halfway through the Giro.
You were getting really excited.
We had a review, and then I switched my ratings around. I had him for a podium finish. Obviously, didn't eventuate to that. Yeah.
I don't even reckon there's one rider in this team that I'm looking at right now that would get a benchmark. Nizzolo's down.
Nizzolo would go close.
Max Walshed was probably their best rider. Campenaert's won an amazing stage as well.
I remember seeing Max Walshades in the thick of it at Roubaix.
Yeah, he had a
in the
good
race.
Year. He had a good year.
Do they get a 1 because of the 3 victories at the Giro? Or is that so long ago? It doesn't really count. It doesn't hold a lot of weight anymore.
It does. It's a 1 and just.
Yeah. It's a good Giro. It is a good Giro.
They won 3 stages within 5 days and then nothing else.
I told you, mate, they must have gone to Vegas.
What are you giving it, Alex? Are you coming on a 1 or you don't want to go that far?
Budget. They were lucky to be a team this year.
They'll be on the lower end of the budget.
I think maybe the lowest.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Scrambling for riders. I think they get a 2 for their Giro. Budget considered, Cambo. Budget considered.
Hey, Max, is there anyone on that,
Yeah,
on that team sheet or in management that he's projected relationships with?
He mates with Rob Power.
Rob Power hasn't been for the poor Roberto. Could be the final straw.
It's a 1 and we move on, Alex.
Yeah.
Trek Segafredo.
So this is going to be the most interesting review of the whole thing because they won a monument.
They did, and they also won a stage at the Tour de France. 2 massive ticks. But they were their only 2 World Tour victories. Bocca Mollema and Jasper Stuyven.
And Ciccone came a top 10 at the Giro, and the other 2 they missed.
They felt present. They mainly by Mollema's work in the breakaways, every breakaway of the Giro and the Tour de France.
The sooner they get rid of the shark, the better.
Yep.
And the sooner they lose Segafredo as a title sponsor.
What's that?
He's the Italian man. He's the king of Italy.
As soon as Ciccone realizes that stage wins are him.
Yeah.
Stuyven impressive. He was there in all the monuments.
Really good rider. Yeah.
Mollema impressive. Probably deserved more for his year than 1 stage win.
If you're going to get it anywhere, it's at the Tour.
Yeah, apart from that, you'd say Brambilla had a fail, Toons had a fail, Alisson wore the jersey for a couple of days, but probably had a fail.
Mads Pedersen had a couple of victories. I think he had 3, including Kern Brussels Kern.
Was looking good in Paris-Roubaix until Luke Rowe backpedaled into him.
Yes.
Kern's Brussels Kern's not World Tour. Just found that out.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. Be pretty. Yeah, probably one of the best non-World Tour races.
I'm going to go with 3.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
3.
3.
Yeah, one of them. I'm rating my things on the 9 key races, and they won 1.
Winning a monument, Alex. That like if on our rating
Remo
system, which you're going to generate over the summer, that's going to count for a lot of points.
Yeah,
as is a stage at the Tour,
and that if that stage win was at the World Tour or the Giro, it would be a different story. But it's at the Tour de France.
Yeah, I was tossing up between a 2 and a 3, but I think that monument, like Max is talking about, it counts for a lot. And not it was only 2 World Tour wins, but overall they had 19 victories,
overall,
which is just a lot of victories. So I
think there are 3.
I'm going to come with you on a 3 too. Yeah.
Well,
before we get to our last team, UAE, I might go back to a couple of A's that we missed. Ag2r and Astana. Starting off with Astana.
3 World Tour wins, 12 overall. Pretty quiet for them. I think their budget would be on the upper side.
The upper end.
I think they've had the worst year since I've followed cycling for Astana.
I'd probably agree.
No Grand Tour wins either.
Lutsenko looked better than Vlasov, so you got to work out what's going on there.
Yeah. And out of those wins, 50% of them look to be national championships victories. So actually, not really part of the team.
Where are these stage winner guys? Where's Luis Jon Sanchez, Yizagiris, the Aaron Buru, the Fuglsang, the Fabio Fellini. Omar Freire? Where are these guys? Where's their form?
Well, Luchenko looked really good at Dauphiné. What did he end up finishing? I think he was second.
Luchenko's my one out. He gets a trademark of the year. And Vlasov's come fourth in a Giro.
I mean, two of those boys that you talked about, Aramburu and Jon Izagirre, won some stages at Basque Country earlier in the year. But besides that, then Dauphiné, and then it was Nationals. A one-day race in Spain that Luis Leon won.
They're not as bad as what I'm thinking. Vlasov fourth Giro, Vlasov sixth Volta, and Lutsenko seventh in the Tour.
I think it's.
I know they're in the top tens, but
I think it's a 2.
Yeah, it's a 2.
2. Don't put a whole lot of value on 5th to 10th at Grand Tours.
No.
It means they're present though, and they're in that elite group of 10 riders that are going up the biggest climbs together.
Yeah. I think unfortunately for the 5th to 10th rider in the current World Tour GC climbing peloton, that means you're hooped like halfway up the final climb.
It means you're finishing 6th, 15 minutes back on the general.
Ag2r, before we get to UAE to wrap things up. Big Australian year with Ben O'Connor.
Yeah.
Tour de France stage winner.
Tour de France stage win.
Yeah.
4th. I know we're just ripping on people. I guess we have a bit of an Australian bias, but 4th at the Tour de France for Ben, who's someone that got a 1-year contract, got a chop out really from the team, then delivers like that, then gets a massive extension on his contract. As a French team as well, to get that win at the Tour de France, there's a lot of value in that.
I think they were present. I get we're going to rate them quite highly on Ben O'Connor's form, but I just remember seeing a lot of Champassin, Parapant, Vendrame won a stage. Cameljane, I'm pretty sure come top 10 in one of the Grand Tours. I'm not sure which one. I think they're a 3. No, they're not. They're a 2. Sorry. O'Connor's a 6.
A stage at the Tour, a stage at the Vuelta, a stage at the Giro.
Yeah, but Movistar podium the Volta, and we're giving them O'Connor's just come 4th at the Tour.
We have that Australian bias, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
It's like winning 2 stages.
What did you give him, Max? Did you give him a 2?
I gave him a 2. I'd initially said 3, but back to 2.
I think I'll go 3.
I'm going to give him a 3 too.
Yeah,
Unbiased.
Hopefully Ben's listening, Alex.
Yeah. UAE, Emirates, to wrap things up.
So back to our thing about if we take one rider out.
Yeah.
If we take Tadej out.
But I think with UAE, more than any other team, they worked for Tadej in every race. So it wasn't a one-man show, if that makes sense. Like the Tour was an epic UAE ride. They all just looked after him to an absolute T. We were wondering what UAE were going to do come Lombardy and Roubaix and Lombardy and what's the other one, the Pog one?
Liège.
Liège, best on Liège with like Hershey and all these other guys, but they just ride for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it all. This guy does it all.
So let's just go through the victories that he had. Tour de France, Liège, Lombardia, Torino, and UAE Tour. You couldn't have a better season, I don't think.
What's he failed at? The Olympics.
Yep. And he did get on the podium there.
Yeah.
And like he's winning the Tour de France and picking up 3 stages along the way too.
Yeah. It's just not like doing enough every day, not having any bad days. He's going out and attacking the race, torching time trials.
There's a couple of disappointments maybe, like Gaviria. We won a stage, but was
I think
off.
Him and Hershey you would expect a little bit more from.
Yeah. Christoph didn't even get out of the park.
Just running around in the twos all year.
Yeah, Ulysses and Trenton didn't win their stages they normally win. I think, did Trenton win one? I think he did in the end.
I think he won a lower level race.
Yeah, he won a 1.1 in Italy.
But the guys that helped him out, like Dilo Cruz, Formolo, Rafael Micah, these guys, they should be raves.
Yeah, and they got George Bennett going across there next season to add to that climbing group.
How do you feel about that, Max?
Yeah, I'll follow George to UAE. Although I'm not big with the Middle Eastern money companies. My now two favourite are UAE and Bahrain. So explain that. They're almost a 7. They've got three of those massive ones that I said, the Tour, Lombardi and Liège.
And Torino's probably, with Paris-Nice and Swiss, the biggest 1 week races of the year too.
Silver medal.
Winning the Tour under pressure as well as the returning.
Exactly. I think that adds a lot. Like if we're judging the team as well, Alex, like dealing with that pressure going in with the favourite, it's completely different to going in as an underdog.
They're not going in with Christoph winning the opening stage.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it like the other teams. They put all their eggs in the baskets that they wanted to win. Like the other tours, let's just have a quick look. Giro, Formolo 14th, and Jan Polak in the Volta. Like they didn't even take a team.
Yeah. Did they win? They didn't win anything at the... No, they won a stage at the Giro with Joe Dom, who's actually moving to Astana. And then one stage at the Vuelta with Micah. So they still won stages at the other Grand Tours with, like Max said, not their far from their best team. It's a 7. It's a 7 for me.
7. It's a 7. To wrap things up, 7s.
Fittingly.
So a 7 with UAE, and then I had 6s to Bahrain, and you guys had 6s to Quickstep as well.
Yep.
And Jumbo.
Israel.
And there was there just the 1-0 thrown out there today, and that was
I was the only one that had balls to give Israel a 0.
That's it. That's the wrap. Year done.
An hour and a half. An hour and a half wrap. We don't even need to go through riders. Pog's easily the best on by a country mile.
Yeah, no need to go near that.
And then I wouldn't even know who second is. Maybe Rog, maybe Van Aert.
Yep. They're your top 3.
We'll spend the summer critiquing and working on the algorithm that is the ranking system.
Yeah.
I think what we do know is cycling is in a very good space going into 2022 in terms of how competitive it is. It looks like Rog and Pog have a genuine rivalry. We're not sure who's going to win at different times. And then the classics are a flip of the coin.
Yeah.
It's not the van show that we thought.
And we'll have a full classic season this next year as well. All the races in there. All the races stacked on top of each other. So it'll be a good year. Thanks, Cambo. Thanks, Max.
Thank you very much, Alex. Pleasure doing business. Thanks, Max.
Stay in quarantine. Don't sneak out.